Hi guys, it's Toks here from Wateredseed. Welcome to Wateredseed Talks. Now in this video, let's discuss self-image. How do we help girls to have a positive self-image? And why is there an increase in negative self-image? Let's discuss. Let's dive in. Talk about self-image. Now when we have this discussion with the girls at the seminar, we always end with a conclusion that it is important and crucial for every young girl, every young adult that goes into the world to have a positive self-image about themselves. But before I start to talk about why we have such a surge in negative self-image for girls as young as 8 years old, let's talk about what self-image is. When I ask the people around me, in fact, when I speak to my daughter in regards to what self-image is, she tells me it's when we're not happy in regards to our appearance. Yes, that's right. But there's two other factors that come into play here. So self-image is not only looking at our appearance, it's also looking at a limitation to our abilities and also our personality. So when we say someone has a negative self-image, we're asking, is it in regards to your abilities? Is it in regards to your personality? Is it in regards to your appearance? But also, I think you would want to know as to why would a limitation in ability impact our self-image? Now, if we feel like every time we have a discussion with our friends, we don't have the right knowledge, or sometimes we don't even want to speak in front of our friends or when we're at a table, because again, we feel like we don't have the right knowledge, we don't have a certain academic standard or a certain level of experience, so we don't speak. We limit ourselves from speaking because we think that we don't know enough. That is a negative impact to our self-image. Again, personality. We might want to pursue certain ambitions, but we think that to pursue those ambitions, we need to be really serious-minded. And our personality is almost of a funny nature. So what do we say to ourselves? Oh, I can't go into that ambition because I'm quite funny. I'm not that serious-minded. So all of these little things add up to a negative self-image. And these are the three factors that I want us to consider here today. And also, I think, while having this conversation, I think it's good for you to kind of just stop and just reflect. Which one applies to you? Do you have a negative self-image based on your abilities, based on your personality, or based on your appearance? Which one do you want to work on? What do you want to work on? And if you feel like you're so far advanced on your journey to self, great, that's fantastic. We need to help our daughters, our friends, our grandkids out there to build and understand what it means to have a positive self-image. So now let me go into what we believe is increasing the level of negative self-image that we're getting in the world today. So we know that social media has its usefulness and we're able to chat with our friends online, and that makes us really happy. But the concern here is the unhealthy consumption of social media. We're consuming media at such a high rate that we can't even differentiate, or we can't even function without it, in other words. And this is the same thing happening to girls out there. Now, when I'm talking about media, I'm not just talking about the platforms where we chat. I'm talking about the glossy magazines as well. I'm talking about the fashion magazines. I'm talking about the constant data streaming. I'm talking about the games constantly being played. All of it as some aspect of media. And subconsciously, we soak all of this information in. We soak them in without actually realizing. And what then happens is that all of the characters that we watch, all these perfect images, who are perfect in abilities and self-image, in pretty much everything. And then we start to think that this is what we should be like. This is what our girls need to be like. And that is when the confusion sets in. That is when the degradation of self sets in. That is when the negative self-image comes in. So we really need to combat this. But before going into how we do that, let's move on to number 2. So number 2 is friends. Friends, or the people who influence us, the people that we spend most of our time with. Because if they talk down to us in regards to our image, again, this is something that sticks with us. And this falls into 2 different categories, because sometimes it's almost like we do it to ourselves. We choose friends based on different factors, and sometimes we choose some friends based on the images, based on what they look like. We want to emulate what they look like. And therefore, when we can't meet that standard of emulation because either we're not wealthy enough or for any reason, we start to negatively look at ourselves and think that we don't meet status quo. Now, the other kind of friend is the friends who just speak down at us. They say we're not worth it and, we don't meet their standard, and they talk us down. And yet somehow, because we want to be involved, we want to be in a group, we continue to be friends with them. And so they constantly negatively pull us down, which again shouldn't be the norm. Number 3 is our parents. Now, I know parents everywhere don't think about this. I know that we don't negatively, think that we impact our children sometimes, but the words that come out from our mouth sometimes when we're trying to address an issue with our children when they've done something wrong could come out completely wrong and could have negative impact to their image, especially when it comes to their image. Research shows that girls going through pretty much puberty, adolescent, and boys alike, the hormones going through their brain is pretty much triple the size of a normal adult brain. And so there's a lot they have to play with. There's a lot going on there. And they're overly conscious again about their image, about the way they look, because for them, that's what makes them fit in. And so as parents, when we comment in regards to how they look, it really does stick. They think sometimes that that's all they are, and they're never going to be better than what we've described them as. If my mum can say that to me, then really, what else is different? So for us to really turn this around, to bring positivity for young girls and young adults out there in regards to how to really deal with self-image, there has to be some kind of self-discipline. And the first one comes with social media or media. What do we do when we have too much of something? We have to limit it. Sometimes, in fact, we have to stop it first, and then we need to introduce ourselves back into it in small doses. That's the best way to do it. It could be hard at first, but again, with self-discipline, with the focus of the fact that we want to build our image up, then we're able to do it. Now, number 2 is in regards to friends. Now, if you really care about a friend and you feel like that friend is talking to you or speaking down at you, then you need to go back to them and speak up and say to them in kindness and clarity so that they understand what you're trying to say. Telling them that they've hurt you in the way they've spoken to you and you don't like it. And a friend that cares for you would apologize about it. They will apologize and that'll be gone, it'll be bygones. But some friends might not really care about how you feel. And you need to decide if you want to spend 100% of your time with that kind of friends. Now, for the friends we choose based on our own desires in regards to how we want to look, again, we need to make honest decisions. We need to decide if we want to let those people negatively impact how we feel about ourselves. That is a decision that we need to make. In fact, not them, not those friends. We're the ones that need to make it because we consciously chose them to be our friends because of reasons just known to us, reasons that actually drag us down. Now, the third one is obviously parents. And all we can do with that is that we just need to speak clearer. Speak clearer, use kinder words to explain to our children in regards to any part of their image that we feel that perhaps they need to address. We just need to communicate that to them a lot clearer and in kindness, in empathy, knowing what they're going through so that they understand what we mean and don't walk around the rest of their lives thinking that that's all they are, because there's more to every child, there's more to every girl out there. So we need to really enforce this to them. Not even enforce, but we need to just repeat it consistently to them that they are just worth more. Now, I've come to the end of our discussion, but what I want you to take away from this conversation today is that if you're on the journey to self and we're talking about self-worth and self-esteem, and we're able to build all of this up, we still need to be quite conscious of what we feed our thoughts. If we're constantly feeding our thoughts with things in the media and how other people look and perfection, we're going to get out pretty much the same negative stuff. So it doesn't matter how much self-esteem or self-worth we built, we need to feed ourselves with the right things. We need to build the right things. We need to start dealing with more authentic reality stuff so that we're not just filled with all of those, camera-ready professional movies and images and pictures and those things that we see. We really, really, really need to step away from those things and build ourselves more, read more, do things that enlarge our brain, makes us feel better about ourselves, spend time with friends that make us feel better. You know, just be happy. Try to do things that make you happy rather than things that drag you down. I hope that makes sense. We've now come to the end of my video. Now, we have a monthly seminars for young girls, and the next one taking place is in June. Now, if you'd like your daughter to be part of that seminar, please go to our website, www.wateredseed.org. It is a free seminar. You just need to register. It takes place online, a video online, and the kids really do have fun there. If you have any questions in regards to the seminar, then email us at info@wateredseed.org. Also, please subscribe to our channel and like us or comment so we know how you feel about our conversation. Have a lovely evening. Bye.